Is the OM-5 a disappointment? Let's find out. Roll titles. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy with you once again, and you'll find that a little bit of a strange video, this one, because I still haven't got my tooth fixed, so I apologise. So you'll have to put up with my little bit of a slightly different voice for the rest of this video. I said I wasn't going to do videos while my tooth wasn't right, but obviously with the OM-5 being released now, at least the videos from all the testers released now, it seems at that moment to have a look and see what is really going on in this camera. And is it a big disappointment, or is it something which is revolutionary and going to take us forward? Well, I think the answer to that question has already been seen, insofar as it's certainly not a revolutionary camera which is going to take us forward. It's basically an OM-5 Mark III with different internals. And that could be seen as a bad thing. I've looked on some of the reviews. I've been looking on places like 43 Rumors. I've looked at an awful lot of reviews online today, which have been really, really interesting for me. The only bugbear, of course, is reviewers like me don't get a copy of the camera to play with beforehand, but never mind. That's one of the problems of being an independent reviewer. It's also one of the advantages of being an independent reviewer, of course, because I'm not bound to say what they want me to say about it. So let's have a little look. And I made a couple of notes down here. They're very, very minor notes on this. It is basically an OM-5 Mark III body. It's exactly the same. So if you didn't like the plastic body, you're not going to like this. But I've warmed to that plastic body over the last couple of months when I've been looking at the camera more and more. It is a lightweight camera. It's a strong body. Whether it's all metallic or all plastic doesn't really make much difference. It is still a strong camera, and it's a really good camera. I think really, really good. Now, I have the OM-1 Mark II. I didn't go for the Mark III because it wasn't a big enough difference. And the OM-1, which has come out a little while ago, I did say in a previous video, which I think I'll try and put a link up above, there's not a big enough reason for me to go out and spend a lot of money, almost £2,000 on a new camera body to get for the differences involved. But there are significant differences in that. Now, the OM-5 hasn't lived up to all the rumours. The rumour sites were putting all sorts out recently, and of course that's what all we've had to go on, unless we were in the in crowd. But some of the things haven't transpired. It doesn't have the 20 megapixel stacked sensor. It's basically the same sensor as an OM-5 Mark III. That's not bad. It's a really good sensor. We don't need much more than 20 megapixels anyway. The stacked part would have been really nice if you used an electronic shutter and for one or two other bits and pieces. But in reality, for most photography needs, you're not going to come across a problem by not having it. The camera itself, yes, it is an OM-5 Mark III body, almost identical. I mean, there's differences insofar as one's got some silver trim around it and the other one's got black, you know, it's that sort of thing. The Olympus name has now gone, as I said in a previous video, to be replaced by OM System. There's a lot of controversy over the OM System bit, and, you know, it's a name at the end of the day. And I think almost everyone knows that it's basically an Olympus camera. The factory for these is still the same place it used to be. It's still next door to Olympus themselves, who are doing all the medical stuff. It's still in the same place. So therefore, these are Olympus cameras. It doesn't have quite the comfort factor, if you like, of having the Olympus name, which we've grown used to for the last, 100 years or so. But at the end of the day, it's still an Olympus camera, and that's what gets me. It's just going to take me a little bit of time to get used to the OM system. And if I refer to both, you'll understand why. It's because I'm just so used to saying Olympus. So, because it's an OM-5 Mark III body, it's got some advantages, got some disadvantages. It still has the UHS 2 type card, single card slot. That's fine, really good. We don't need a dual card slot for the majority of photographers out there. You know, we're not going to take professional photographs every day of the week. So having the dual card slot for most people isn't a big issue. It's never been a big problem for me, even when I was shooting professionally. It's a nice safety net, and there's an awful lot being made out of that, which I think is overhyped. The bad part for me is it doesn't have the USB-C socket. It's still got the micro USB, and that's a fallback for me. It's not giving you the faster charging, and it's not giving you the faster data transfer. And really, for me, that's what's significant. It's something I use a lot, is the in-body charging. And if I'm going around the place trying to go from shoot to shoot, having the ability to charge up quicker while I'm driving in the car is a big advantage. Because it's an OM-5 Mark III body, it doesn't have an earphone jack. So if you're recording video, you can't monitor it on the camera itself. And that, on a camera this level, I still think is a little bit of an issue on that. Even if it was to be a case that you repurpose the microphone socket so that you can go between the two just for post-filming monitoring, but you can't even do that. So I would really, ideally like to see two sockets. We're stuck with the microphone input as being the only one. What else do we have on this? Just have a look at my notes, because this is very early days. Significant autofocus upgrade, and I think that's a really good thing, especially insofar as the AI side of things, being able to lock on. It seems to, from the reviews I've seen, and bear in mind I'm just seeing reviews, I'm condensing what other people have said about this, but it does really seem to be able to lock on an awful lot better onto moving subjects, moving targets and static targets. So, you know, the facial recognition, the animal recognition seems to be improved on that one. And I think it's a really good thing. Now, additionally, IBIS has gone up by a whole stop on this, which has taken you from about 5.5 stops, can't say that properly, bad teeth, 5.5 stops up to 6.5 stops. And if you got the integrated IS lenses on there, then you're getting an extra stop, and that's taking you about 7.5 stops of IBIS in the camera. Absolutely fantastic. That really is a good significant improvement. The high res is now able to be done handheld on the Olympus. Lumix have been able to do this for a while and things like on the G9, but it's now able to be done handheld. If you have it on tripod, you're getting about 80 megapixels, 50 megapixels handheld, which is still fabulous, it really is. Obviously, because what it's doing pixel shifting, it's moving the sensor around to try and get to fill in the gaps, if you like. So if you do have moving objects such as cars or animals or particular wind movement in there, you'll still get blurring on that. There's no way around that one. Whatever system you take, whether it's handheld or on the tripod. But the ability to get handheld 50 megapixel really is good. And that's going to give you the ability to, you know, to ditch the tripod every so often and not take it out and still get some really good high definition shots. The other thing I like is it's got a multiple stage neutral density filter built in. It doesn't quite have the reach of the OM-1, but I think you get about I think it's about 16 equivalent value, something like that, on the ND filter built in, and that's really good because it saves you having to take filters around. But also, if you really want more ND on that, you can integrate using external filters and that to get even more filtration on it. I think it's good. I think it's a really useful tool to be built into the camera body, and I think it's well worth looking into, well worth going forward on that. Video wise, if you're a video shooter, it's got better as well, because they've now got past the 30-minute limit. You're not limited to 30 minutes recording time anymore, and that's a really big bonus for some people. For me, doing vlogging sort of things is not a big problem, but I'm not a videographer. I create videos for YouTube. I'm not a creative person on videos, but a lot of people are, and a lot of people use it for all sorts of things. If you're recording interviews, for instance, there's nothing worse if you're doing a long interview with somebody and you have to stop to restart the cameras again. This gives you the ability to actually carry on recording past the 30-minute limit. Superb on that. Don't forget, by the way, if you are enjoying this video, hit the subscribe button. It is free, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. It just comes up onto your subscription line to let you know when I've got new videos. And I'm just over 6,500 now. So if you're not a subscriber, I really would appreciate it if you could subscribe, and also if you get your friends to subscribe as well. It costs you nothing. And also give this video a big thumbs up, because that means more people will see it, which means that it's easier to get the information out there. Anyway, back to the camera itself. The weather sealing, if somebody goes out, is improved on the OM-5 Mark III considerably, and that's good. It's now got a 5.3 rating instead of I think it was a 5.1. And if you don't understand the ratings, it's basically is to dust and moisture rejection, and basically the higher the number, the better it is. So you've got a far better weather rating on this. And if you're using weather seal lenses as well, you've got a fantastic outdoor camera in most weather conditions that you're going to encounter. It's also got slightly better hot and cold temperature extremes that it can go to. And again, it's just giving it that extra little bit of use. I think it goes down to about -10 now, -10 degrees C. Depends if you're shooting those sort of environments, but it is really good if you're going out that little bit more extreme environment. It is better, and your camera's going to carry on working for longer. What else do we have? Let's see. I think that's really about the main things that I've picked up on this. So, is it a disappointment? I think there are a lot of people it will be a disappointment because they were expecting, including myself, something to be quite a major leap over the 5 Mark III. So from that point of view, it is a disappointment. However, and this is a big however, if you're in the market for something like an OM-5 Mark III, buy this camera. It's going to be everything you wanted from the 5 Mark III and more. It's not a bad camera. It can't be a bad camera with those sort of specs. There are some of the reviews saying that it's an old-fashioned camera now and it's ancient technology, and I don't go for that. I really don't, because as you'll know, I use cameras. I've been taking my EM1 Mark I out recently, thoroughly enjoying that, and that's a 10-year-old camera now. Just because it's a slightly older design doesn't mean to say that it's a bad camera, and doesn't mean to say that it's bad value for money. I think this is going to be still a leading camera to go out and buy, and I think an awful lot of the time people get sucked up into the hype. The OM1 has sold like hotcakes. It's fantastic. But effectively, really what it is an upgraded version of the EM1 Mark III and the EM1X. I think that this OM-5 is going to be, it is an upgraded EM5 Mark III. Think of it as an EM5 Mark IV, if you like, or an EM5 Mark III with a super firmware update, whatever you want to see it on that. I think this is still a really good value for money camera, which the EM5 Mark III was. This is going to be competitively priced to that, so it's going to be about the same price. I think they've actually stopped producing the EM5 Mark III as well, so you're not going to be able to buy new ones. They've delisted it from last week. But it's not going to be a bad buy. If you're in the market for an Olympus mid-range Micro Four Thirds camera, it's going to be the one to go for. And I think that you're not going to be in the least bit disappointed. I think you're going to be rather impressed by it. Time will tell. I need to get my hands onto a copy yet, and I'm really looking forward to it, because this is a sector of the market which I think is probably the prime sector. Although people have been saying about the OM1 and that sort of side, that is still a professional side of the market. The majority of people who I know who are seriously enthusiastic camera buyers are looking around about the price point for this OM-5 as being their sweet spot, if you like. And looking at what else is on the market, I think this is really a good camera. Now, as I say, if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave a comment below, because I really am interested in what you have to think about the OM-5. I think that there's a lot of comments going to come in, pro and against the camera, and I'm really keen on seeing what your thoughts are. Is it a disappointment, or is it something which is going to be quite a winner? My personal preference is I think it's going to be a winner. I think it's going to nicely sit in the market sector, and if you have the money to go out and buy a camera in this sort of league, this is probably where I'll be putting my money in more than anything else at the moment. So thanks very much for watching this video. Thanks very much for putting up with the slightly lispy sort of speech. I can't get in until the dentist until next week on an emergency appointment. Welcome to the UK. For all you people overseas, this is the UK at the moment. We can't get emergency dental treatment for a week and a half. So you're going to have to bear with me for at least until the middle of next week. But until the next time, keep on taking your camera out. If you're looking for a new camera, go out and try one of these if you can get your hands on one, and keep on having fun with your photography. I need some different catchphrases. Fun with your photography doesn't work without a tooth. See you next time. Bye-bye.